Classic. Where are you, Burke?
Hey,
there he
what's
is.
I just realized I didn't have my phone on me.
You might
There's
want
a lot
that.
of people depending on me over here.
All right.
A lot of kids in schools.
Yeah, it happens. Well, welcome. So we are welcome to Burke Learns Blazor. I'm showing this disclaimer because sometimes it's confusing. This channel has a lot of tutorials and like very scripted, polished things. This is not that. It's a live coding show. If you are here to learn something, you will be greatly disappointed, most likely, but it's still fun. Right?
Yeah. No, that's a great disclaimer. And sorry to the people who show up and thought they're going to teach me something. We're not. We're teaching each other, and not very well. But it is fun.
It is fun, and this is real life. And how this came up is you and Cecil built this site 5 years ago using the cool stuff at the time. This is Azure storage, it's Azure front door, it's Cosmos DB, but it's kind of cobbled together. It does some really cool things. I use it a ton, so I can like sign in with Twitter. I've got like if we go into my list of links, I've got tons of link lists going back quite a ways, so you can see I'm a fan. I use it for ASP.NET Standup, etc. And but there's some issues. The Twitter login stopped working for a while, and we realized we don't have control of the login, and we wanted to add in other login things. And then also we wanted to, just for fun, learn some stuff, do this in Blazor this time around.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also some other stuff like the functions version we're using is out of date. And the Vue version that I used was like Vue 2. Mm-hmm. And it was using TypeScript, and all of that stuff is deprecated. Like none of it is officially supported anymore. So,
another thing
had to be updated to something.
I love building the same app in two different things and comparing and contrasting and learning along the way. I've had this opportunity. You rarely get the opportunity to do it as a developer.
Yeah, that is true. To rebuild something that you built before.
Yeah. So before working at Microsoft, I did get a chance. I was working, this is long, long ago. This was a site we built for a conference, a Microsoft conference in web forms, because that was the thing. And then MVC came out, and I somehow talked people in our group into, there was another conference. We needed, it was a whole new thing. It was different enough where it was a new thing. And I said, let's build it this time. Instead of making the old one work, let's rebuild it in MVC. And it was awesome. I learned so much about MVC that way, like building something. So anyways, we're doing the same, and we're learning with Blazor this time around. So
that's right. So what are we doing today, John?
We are, let me first of all bring up, I've been trying to use this project thing. So this is our project, and we can celebrate a little bit of success here. We have done, what are some things? This is what we've done so far. So that's a decent amount of stuff. This one has been bugging us, though. This is convert. Here, let me switch it so we're a little bit bigger. We've been using Cosmos bindings in our function, which is kind of the easy button, and it works until it doesn't, right? So our functions have something like, am I on the right thing? Function save links. Oh, this one. Well, that's another part of it. If we go to like get links, we're using this. Oh, sorry. I'm not sharing my screen correctly, am I? Let me share again. See, not scripted. Okay. Share entire window, entire screen. Okay. And pop it back up. Okay. So here's an example of something we ran into where this binding is super easy to use, and you can immediately start doing stuff with it, but you can't, it's not programmatic. It's like, it's an attribute, right? So you can only, you hit issues where it's like, it's this giant attribute, and then if something gets messed up, you're kind of like, or if you want to write something more complex or whatever. But a weirder issue we ran into was in save link. So if we go to save link, we have an HTTP trigger that is returning a document. So it needs two bindings. And so what we ended up doing with this guy is we had an HTTP trigger. And then I ended up, like, this seemed to be the best way I could find out to do it, but we actually had to create a save model. And then the save model is connected to the Cosmos DB output. And it's just like,
Yeah.
freaking,
It just feels it's like an unnecessary abstraction on top of something that's very simple. There's no reason. It takes something that's simple and makes it complex.
Yeah.
So I think that bindings are probably good if you just like, quickly just give me something out of a database.
Yep.
We're actually going to work with the database, so it doesn't make any sense to make it harder on ourselves.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, but okay, before going further, let me see if there's anything coming in. Okay, there's a question about Blazor at the top, but it's not.
Is it possible to connect Blazor to a MariaDB database with users? I haven't seen any videos. Yeah, I mean, you can connect it to anything.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's just code. So there's two models. Whole monologue here, but in .NET 8 things change. So I'll preface that a bit. But in previous, including .NET 7, you've got Blazor Server and Blazor Client. Blazor Client it's a client app. So think of it just like any JavaScript, React, Angular, whatever view, and it's going to make HTTP calls up to a REST endpoint. And so you need some sort of API to expose your MariaDB, right? If you are doing Blazor Server, then you're running server-side code, and your server-side code, you can use anything. So there's database providers for MySQL, for whatever.
MariaDB, I assume there's a .NET. Oh, it's MySQL. Yeah, certainly.
MySQL. So there absolutely is. But this is a fair point. I haven't seen videos about it. I haven't seen videos about it either. I haven't looked for it. There's probably some out there. It's something where there's probably going to be fewer Blazor apps using MySQL, MariaDB. So I don't know.
I mean, I think all you would have to do is just Google MariaDB and .NET, right? Like, it doesn't really matter that you're using Blazor, right? Because either you're building on the server side, so you can just use any .NET and return that result, or
you know
what I mean?
You can. Yeah, it's just code, right? So you can connect to anything you want. So
okay.
But I partly did that because keep the questions coming; those make it fun. So anyways, this was something where it finally, we kept saying, like, eventually we should switch this around, because the other way of doing this is the way that, if I go back over to here, if we go into the URL list, in the previous version, this was using a document client for some of it. And now I think we saw why, because if we go into save links, I think he uses a document client in here. See, this is another thing we ran into, is that there's a change in the Azure Functions model. And so all the attributes have changed a bit, and it's a little tougher these attributes changed too. So it was tougher to kind of work with the client directly.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what I did is I took this opportunity to do some Chat GPT stuff too along the way. So,
okay.
Yeah. So first of all, let's see about this. Let us go to my program. So I have this working in a fork if things explode, but if not, we'll see if I can do this. So I want to update this. Let's see, here's my chat. I've got to ask all kinds of questions. What are you doing? Okay, so I'm going to say update this to create a Cosmos DB client and inject it, or as a service. As a service and inject.
I wonder how many more hard-coded values John will add.
Yeah, it's
all of them. All of them.
That is a good thing. I do like moving stuff to to like user secrets. So that is something I would not mind at all cleaning up as part of this. Okay. A thing I've learned too, I don't know if you know more about this or whatever, but I've been told that actually having tabs open for relevant things like is good. Like as far as Chat GPT goes, it helps set context. And so
You mean Copilot?
yeah,
Copilot chat.
Copilot. I'm finally fixing my terminology. Copilot.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it knows about a certain amount of characters before and after the cursor, and it knows about certain content in other files, but they don't really tell you what that is, and it changes constantly. So,
Yeah.
what I tell people is have tabs open, and then even better, highlight the block of code that you want to change, and then ask your question.
Yeah. And when I was first trying to get better at Copilot, I started searching around in docs. I saw presentations and things where they're like, this seems to work, this doesn't work as well. And I think the answer is it's kind of non-deterministic, and there's not like a set like these are the 2 steps or this is exactly. It's kind of like we have found that.
Right.
I mean, we do know we are providing the context by having the tabs open. So that is something that we're actually feeding in.
I mean, the best you can do is get it to give you a less wrong answer.
Nice. Okay, so this is going to inject a service. I can say insert. So I do like, and I also get confused sometimes by this diff view thing. So I'm in VS 17, whatever, 2022, 17.8 preview 1, I think.
VS Code does the same thing. It's the same exact UI.
Cool. All right. So I do like that. It's showing it's injecting it. I'm going to accept that. There are a couple of things here. It's going to say probably that I need to add a using or So now here we need this Cosmos client. I do like this, that it's going to tell me, hey, you need this package. And so it actually does this inline, find install latest. Do that. All right, come on now. There it is. Okay. Now, one thing that's interesting is this Cosmos client breaks things up a little differently. So we currently have I'm going to pull my settings over, so it's going to kind of hide some of the stuff. But that's our current Cosmos. I've got 2 things going here. This is our previous connection string. And then this actually is the updated connection string in the correct format.
So you split it into endpoint key.
Endpoint and key. Don't know why it does that. I guess it's a little, more whatever. I do want to say as part of this, like, so, like here, I don't like having keys in my repo. Like this is get ignored. It is supposed to not be checked in, but one nice feature that's available with Azure Functions with the new isolated thing is this user secrets. Have you seen that?
No, is it like code spaces or GitHub secrets? You just go in and put them in?
Well, no, it's not. It's for local development. And what it does is it's actually a JSON file that's in a completely separate folder. It's in your documents. And it's something where like dotnet knows to go. It's like, this is the location of that file. It goes and reads stuff, but it's kind of more secure as opposed to right now, this local settings is still in the folder and it's just get ignored, not checked in.
Yeah, you're kind of playing with fire by putting it in your project and then hoping it doesn't get checked in.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm not logged into Stream.
Yep. All right. He left and came back. Well, he's out. Let's take a look at this. What .NET version is this, by the way? Okay. We are doing this in .NET 7. We're doing it in .NET 7 partly because there's a lot of moving parts and we're deploying to Azure, and some of the Azure client stuff, we're still like that takes some time to ship because we're waiting on Azure services, support for .NET 8 and stuff. It depends what you're building. I am a huge fanboy of build with the latest things. .NET 8 is almost in RC1, I believe, if it's not yet. I get confused because we're working on the blog posts One way. Yep. Welcome back. There's a question of is this .NET 7 or .NET 8? So this is .NET 7. There are some things in .NET 8 I can't wait to use, but we can't use them here. I'll show one that I'm like dying to use. So first of all, let me close this so I don't accidentally show it off. One of the features I am excited about is primary constructors. So if we look at here, as an example, this pattern is annoying to me. So the deal there is when you're doing constructor injection, then you get past this logger factory, and then you have to set it into a local field. And
yeah,
this is something we do all the time in ASP.NET or modern .NET stuff. Is this do you have to do this in JavaScript? I'm assuming JavaScript's kind of more dynamic, so you don't have to as much.
I mean, the dependency injection is not really a thing in JavaScript. I mean, you can do it. It's just not done very much. I guess what you would do here is you would do the same thing, right? You would pass in, but there's shortcuts in TypeScript so that you don't have to specify that first private read-only iLogger. You don't have to do that. And in JavaScript, you can just say this dot, and it will just automatically attach whatever you passed into the object. But that's not a great comparison because in JavaScript, you can just do whatever you want.
Right.
Just code willy-nilly. Yeah.
Well, in .NET 8 and C# 12, there's this primary constructors thing where anything that you pass, I could just get rid of all this, and in any of the functions in this class, I could just use logger factory. And it's like, because it's passed in the constructor, it's usable.
Yeah, you do the same thing in JavaScript, but it's just, there's no structure. So just do whatever you want.
It's mayhem, for good or for bad. So you can go in the project, you can change the lang version. You can say lang version preview or whatever. I haven't messed with it enough in this, and we're kind of like mixing a bunch of new stuff together, so I'm not going to play with fire there. But we have now a Cosmos client, and now we can start using that with constructor injection. So nice. I'm going to do a few things. I'll pop this in the corner here.
And wait, so you are using .NET 8?
I'm using .NET 7.
Okay. I think. Yeah, that's right. It is. It's .NET 7.
Okay. Yeah. I don't mind switching stuff around. But yeah, I'm doing .NET 7 for now. It's funny because I've been doing a lot of presentations on .NET 8 lately, and so I'm kind of like, and half the time I'm like, oh, I want to use this feature, but no. Okay, so let's go over to, I think, save links. And so the things I need to do is I need to create this Cosmos client. So I think I can do Cosmos client. Yeah. I do like this IntelliCode thing where it just gives you a name, because it's like, okay. So now let's go. Is it gonna do it for me? Nope. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then I can do a control dot. And we're done with it. Okay. So now I can go in and I can start changing things around. The first thing I want to do actually is delete this whole model, because the only reason for this model was to allow returning both, it was to allow binding to a document, and it was allowing to return an HTTP response to an HTTP trigger, and I don't like it.
So let's see here. Mr. Magoo is saying could have used a quick action on the parameter to do that. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So of different ways. And also, Andy, got to chill out on the chat. I'm gonna have to ban you. Don't make me do that.
Speak in Spanish. Yo no sé.
Por favor. Alto. Por favor.
Yo quisiera hablar un poquito más español porque, pero no habla bien. I have been, Burke, let me show off, because, we're just
been studying Spanish?
I have been some. Okay, so let's go over to Duolingo. This was one of my things that I started doing before COVID, and then I just kind of, it's a silly thing I do every day. So where's my profile? It's a silly thing. I'm in the Diamond League. I'm like,
wow. Oh, you're working your way up. How many lessons have you done?
I don't know. A lot. So I finished, I'm kind of low-key bummed. I finished Spanish. No, I finished Chinese. I'm partway through Spanish. It's cool. I'm bummed that when I finished the Chinese thing, and I was like, I don't really know it yet, and then I need more practice. And then it's just kind of like, no, you're done here, and there's like nothing more to do. So
yeah, I mean,
oh well.
This is the whole thing with trying to learn a language is that, and I was taking private Spanish lessons for a while as well. What does this mean? You understand very well, right? You understand very good. We can understand you very well. Great. Hopefully I got that right. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is like Duolingo can't do it, not because it's not good, but because the only way to really learn a language is to go live around and work around people that speak that language and do only that. And if you do that, you'll be fluent in that language in like 1 year. That's what my teacher told me.
Yeah. Yep. That's there's like no substitute for that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's go back to my code. Okay. So now I have deleted that model. I have this thing, and now I basically want to say, I'm just going to go for it. Let's say convert this. So I'm going to delete this. And I'll say, oh, here's a thing I ran into is we no longer are returning this save link response because that was our model type. That was that weird combination thing.
Right.
And so instead, we want to return an HTTP response data, which I don't totally get, but it's a kind of wrapper thing that they have built. And I actually was looking last night. There's like a whole thing that the Azure function team's doing to like evolve this response and request wrapper stuff going forward. But
I like that though. It's just like a generic JSON response.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. It's kind of a wrapper response sort of thing. So,
so Andy's asking, why is the validation in red? He wants us to code in Spanish. So I'm trying to answer. ¿Por qué está un breakpoint aquí?
Yeah.
¿Cómo se dice breakpoint en español? Por favor.
Yeah. Await, blah, 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 return the response. So I think I need to say, yeah. So that is one nice thing now is it simplifies a lot of the stuff. We were having to do this kind of wrapper thing and we don't anymore. So that's kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to this whole deal here, we can just return the thing. So we can do, oops.
Cool. By the way, breakpoint in Spanish is punto de interrupción.
That makes sense.
Yeah. We're learning Spanish and Blazor today. John learns Spanish. Burke learns Blazor.
There you go. Okay, so here we go again. So this is just nice. I'm deleting code. I've deleted a class.
Oh, it feels so good, doesn't it? Nothing feels better than highlighting a block of code. Like we don't need this anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the part where it actually is a little trickier because we actually need to do something because we don't have, where'd I go?
Right. You have to explicitly insert into the database.
We have to do a thing. So now I need to say, okay. So it's funny because when I was going through this the first time, I do practice. I was using Copilot, Copilot chat, and now I'm just going through and doing it here. So let's see how it does.
See if we can get it. Cosmos client get database.
Okay. Is that good?
That sounds right because you need a database, then you need a collection container rather. That's right.
It's interesting. It's doing it different than I did last time. Last time, what it did was it did a one-liner thing. I actually like this better. But last time what it was doing for me was, I just got to compare notes here. It did a single line and it said like, I'm looking it up, get container. So Cosmos client dot get container, and you pass in both things at the same time. So
okay, so that would probably be cleaner.
yeah. So let's try that. Let's say get the container. Get the Cosmos container. That's what I did last time. Now here's the one tricky issue. Is it filled this stuff in and it was not right, because these actually, if we go to our Git links, that's why it was not right. The database
We changed it.
Yeah,
No.
we did.
Did we?
We did. It's
that's right. It's the URL list now.
Yeah. So if I go here into that, yeah, it's the URL.
Yeah.
So when I was testing this out, I was getting all kinds of errors, and it's like database doesn't exist. And I'm like, why isn't it connecting? And it was because of that. So here, and I think it is still link bundles.
Yes, it is. We didn't change that.
Okay. So Word. Okay. So now we can say, I guess we want to save it. Save.
Put another line there.
All right, sure. Okay. Now.
Put another line, see if it can guess what you want to do next.
Okay. It's fun because I wonder how many like kind of noise comments we're going to get over time from people doing this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it'll just keep going. You have to stop because it's just a completion API. So it's like, I know how to complete that.
Now, this is interesting. This is actually pretty good. We don't want to return this exact thing because I think all we want to do is return.
You want to add a header?
Yes. So this is interesting. In the previous one, let me bring up the previous. This is because we're creating something. And in the previous one, we return a created result.
Okay.
Let me squash this down. We don't have the option to do created result on this one. What a created result does is it returns a 201 and the location of the created resource. And
or
so
the created resource, right?
Yeah. So this is basically saying HTTP 201 and then a link to the created thing.
A link to the created thing? Like the URL, it returns a URL with the ID.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's less useful here because we have told it what exactly we want to do, where we want it to create it. So it's kind of like pedantic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is the.
But that's what REST is, right? Like if you if you create an item, it should send the whole item back, not just.
It does. It does.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is something we'll do. So anyways, I think what we want to do is just do.
But I still don't understand why you need a header.
Because that is the way you return. Okay, so let's say you create a new link without passing in a vanity URL. It assigns you a vanity URL.
Oh, that's right. It returns the vanity.
Yeah. So this is how it says this is the van. Otherwise, it's like, I created it. Great. How do I get it? You got to know that. So
is that what we were doing before? So you're reading it off the header?
Yeah.
Oh, you're setting the location.
Setting the location. Yeah.
But that's not. No, I don't think so, John. Because the thing is, it should be in the response already. All we're doing is reading the response and looking at the vanity URL, right? Because as it gets created, we create the vanity URL, we create the item in the database, and then we send back that item out of the database. That's it.
So Yes, I agree with you that it's the item in the database. I'm just saying, I mean, we can test this against a live
No.
one.
So what's the reason for the header is because that's the semantic way to do that
Yeah.
in a REST service?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a REST service, you would return created result and you would set the header. Does it matter now? Not really, because we're not really using that. But
No,
if
it's
we
good. I mean, I want to do it the right way. So
this way, if we want to expose the API other places, it's like other people could use it, and yeah, you know what I mean. If we want to open up the API more and have people using the API, this is
right. Yeah,
So
makes sense.
cool. Okay, so we've got that, and then we also need to return the return response message. Yeah.
Will that do it?
Let me think a second. It's a little interesting because we're not setting the value. We're not. Yeah, I guess that's right. The thing I'm thinking through is we've got response message and we've also got var response. And let me ask that. What? Oh, let me move that here. Does this response object hold? Yeah, coding Gorilla is this is what I'm thinking through here. I think we do need to set the response.
Yeah, you need to set the body because it's not, the response isn't included anywhere in there.
Yeah. So this is not, yeah, so here. Yeah. Okay, so set
the body. Yeah.
So what do we think of that? It is
no, that's not right. It needs to be response dot resource. I'm gonna guess using the response object.
It doesn't want to do that. Though. So yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, you could return the link bundle,
so
but it won't contain the ID, and that's really not what you want to do, right? Like, the whole point is that you verify that the item got created and you return the created item, not just return the item that got sent in, because that's not what got created.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I just have to call out small thing here. Peggy's saying she likes the font size. So this is actually, I got to show this off. This is a small Visual Studio trick. If you do want to present, or if you just want larger font size, there's a thing where you can go font size.
Well, you show that, John. I'm going to use the restroom. I had too much coffee. Bear back.
All right. So in Visual Studio, it's very easy to bump up the editor font size. I don't know why it's not doing that. It's taking its time. Let's just go Tools, Options. If we go in here to Font, in Font and Colors, there's a thing called Environment. So if you go to Environment, and then you can override this. This is normally set to auto, but you can set it to whatever. Sego UI is the standard one, so you can bump that up. So anyways, that's what I do here. And I'm also using, I don't have this turned on right now, but I also have Mads, he's got a thing called Tweaks, Visual Studio extension. And if you do that, then you get this right-click menu where you can do, so here I go, right-click, and then I can pop up in presentation mode. And I have presentation mode always set to the highest thing. So the version of Visual Studio I'm using is 17.8 preview 1. I like the previews. And then I guess here one thing is Copilot allowed on corporate machines? It varies with your company. We are very much encouraged to use it at Microsoft, of course. There is a whole trust page in and a trust policy and stuff that GitHub's released recently. And so, I can't answer for your company, but yeah. Yeah, or font sizer icon, you can resize fonts on the fly. True. All right. So
Copilot, you already talked about Copilot being allowed on corporate machines.
Well, kind of. Do you? I mean, what I said is basically, it's encouraged at Microsoft. They have published like they've created a trust page. GitHub's created like a trust thing that explains what they're collecting, what they're not, what's but it's up to
there's like controls. Yeah, you can put controls around it. Microsoft does to where we can't. It doesn't pull from private repos, I don't believe. Our Copilot doesn't, and because I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to. Our engineers don't use ChatGPT, right? Like they're not supposed to do that, didn't
right?
They? Okay.
But you can use Copilot, right? But Copilot, there's a thing. Yeah, I can't find my shirt lately. I think one of my kids. It's a problem. So here, this is interesting because in this case, it just returns linked document, and linked document is just the thing, but it's bound. So this is what we were doing previously. Sure, I'm not sure what we can get. Let's try this. Get the document from response.
Yeah, that's it. Response on resource. Yeah.
Okay. And then return. Now, this is all cool until we have problems. And so we'll have to handle those exceptions in a sec. Let's quick question here. What is the difference between Razor Pages and Blazor Server? All right. There's a good, there's two answers to this. One is, as of right now, Razor Pages is server-side web apps on .NET. So you can think of it like, Rails or Node, or, like it is on the server, it is generating HTML and sending it to the client. It then
Which I quite like. I like that, John. And I like it because it's small, right?
Give me a second.
And a lot of JavaScript apps are moving in this direction anyway, like Next and Next.js and Beat and some others. I think it's Beat or Nuxt, right? Rendered on the server, send it to the client.
I gotta say it's I like it partly. I gotta show these off. It's very similar to MVC, and this is a fun thing. This is part of why I tried to start learning Chinese. They translated it to Chinese.
Oh, that's so cool.
So Razor Pages is a simpler version of ASP.NET MVC, and MVC is this model view controller thing that renders HTML on the server, and then down on the client, if you want interactivity, you write some JavaScript that makes a REST call back to the server, and you have an API or something on the server, right?
Right.
I think in general, it's the best model for a lot of web apps.
I would say for almost all web apps, that is currently, I mean, that's just chat. That's my opinion. But the thing is, the trade-off is static websites are super simple and cheap to host, like almost free. And server-side rendering requires compute, and that changes the game quite a bit because you're having the server do the work. So responsibility. But
yeah, it's true. It's a total balance, and it's like over time, way back in the day, websites were sites that had data, had documents, or had stuff you would look up, or had a list of products that were changed 3 times a week or something like that. You could cache it and whatever. It was very easy to write websites. Over time, we started getting more web apps. Like, you got your Gmail and your Google Maps, and then, everything like this site, the URL list is very much an app, right? It's an interactive thing where you're creating and it's doing stuff. And then it gets a little more frustrating to do stuff on client and server, because every click you have to wait for something to happen on the server,
Yes. I see what you mean. I guess in JavaScript, you have a little bit more power over what you want to happen on the client
and
what you want to happen on the server, which is nice. Whereas in this case, I assume it's like all client or all server.
So that's exactly it. So up until now, it's been very much all client or all server. And then there's like, well, you can run it on the server, but then JavaScript makes API calls and you write a little bit of JavaScript, or you could do Blazor WebAssembly and then it's doing some stuff on the client, some on the server. One neat thing is in .NET 8, there's a change for Blazor where they're making it so that each page or component can say whether it wants to run on the client, server, or automatic.
Oh, so you can have a hybrid.
Exactly. And I'm very excited about that. It works in a lot of cases. It actually won't be useful on this site because we're hosting against Azure Functions, and it's a static web app, so it can't run on the server. It's not going to run server-side code. Hey,
David Pine is here. No way.
I was just talking about Blazor stuff in .NET 8, so I'm quite excited there. David Pine just wrote a book on Blazor, and he may have to update it for .NET 8, I'm guessing.
Sorry, David.
That's the problem.
Everybody go buy David's book.
It's rad. Yep.
All right.
Okay, so what I was doing some stuff here. Now, one thing when I start, actually, should I run this? I don't think I can run it yet.
Why not?
Yeah, all right. I'm not promising it'll work, but I can run it. And we still need to change the Git one. The main thing, so there's build errors. Okay, what is my build error? I'm not ending the function or whatever, right?
You have to set it to the context? Do you have to put it on the context?
No, it's because I have a using statement that's wrong. Right? Because I deleted models. It doesn't exist anymore. See if it builds now. I set this new thing that's available just in Visual Studio and MS Build, and it does like a checks for things that it needs to rebuild or not. And it's really fast and it rebuilds my stuff faster, but I don't really know what it is. So I'm scared if I have to turn it off. It's somewhere in my preview features. Okay, it's running.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so now there's different ways to test this. I'm going to test this using this HTTP file. So this is here. I can click on send request. Suspense. Okay, we got a 500. So now this threw an exception, which is bad, but worse is we don't want to see HTTP 500 with no information. That's not useful. So
there's no way to see the error?
Because we're not done yet, right? We didn't catch. So that's
yeah, but the error maybe not. Okay, never mind. Go back.
So the problem is what? Okay, the problem is save links didn't handle exceptions. We're not doing we need to wrap this in a try catch, and we need to catch exceptions and handle those cases.
Okay.
What probably happened is either it didn't connect to Cosmos, or it tried to write it. And remember, we've been using, this is our test here, and we always are trying to save it using the same name for the link bundle. So there's already
there's a collision.
Yep. So we need to wrap this in a try catch, and then so I think I can do surround with. Let's see if that works. Surround. I feel like there's a lot of stuff here, and it's also, I'm sure it's in here somewhere. It's going to be quicker for me to just wrap it.
Do it. Yeah. Or you could ask Copilot, like, what's the command to...
I will say one thing. It started doing this before. I'm not even going to look at it, because when I was going through and trying this earlier, it was saying some crazy things.
There we go. Catch exception.
So this is good, but I actually want to catch, I don't know if I can do this, catch
You don't have to. You actually don't have to spell things right with Copilot. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Which is nice because you can just like
From
bang it out real quick and hit enter, and it still knows what you want.
conflict. Yeah. Okay.
Is that what you wanted?
That is what I wanted.
So
So
that is a beefy catch.
okay, this is beautiful though. I want to explain why. This is saying first, if there is a vanity URL already existing, which I mean that's pretty cool that it's like that is the exact case that I'm checking for, right?
Yeah.
So if that exists, it's going to say vanity URL already exists. If not, there could be another internal server error. So for instance, when I was testing and I didn't change the name of the document collection or whatever, or the document database from linky link to the URL list.
The URL list.
That was an internal server error. It wasn't a vanity URL. It wasn't a conflict. It was just an internal server error. So we want that too. So now I'm a lot happier about this.
So now you're catching so what's going on here is you're catching the conflict exception as one because you want to send back a different message. You want to be specific about that.
Exactly.
And the other one is just the generic, like something barfed. Here's the barf.
Yeah, and they're like in one case the client can handle the vanity URL already exists, right? It can say, hey,
right, which is
show an
exactly
error to the client.
And actually, John, what we do is in the
we do the shape
application, right? We check for it every time you type. We actually call an endpoint that does nothing but check the database for a vanity URL.
So that's another endpoint we need to add on the API.
Yes.
Okay.
But we need this anyway because, right, you always want to check. We're not creating anything without checking.
Yep. So this is useful, man. It's making me think about that checking on every key press. I bet there's ways to optimize that. Like if you could say, you've already typed these 3 letters. What are
totally. I mean, at the very least, we could debounce it so that it waits until you stop typing.
Yeah.
It's like it waits a second or two and it's like, all right, they're done. Let's check. Yeah.
But the other thing here with this exception, this is important to catch and catch separately because it's another case. We don't want to show the client the error like, hey, this vanity URL already exists, because it doesn't, right? But we do need to say, hey, sorry, something happened. We were not able to save your thing or whatever.
Right.
So, okay, so this is good. Let's run her again. While it's doing that, I want to show, do I have this open? No, okay. Dev blogs. I'll go to the Visual Studio blog. There's something I'm excited about on the Visual Studio blog. Okay. It is something Syed just posted. Okay, so first of all, HTTP, yes, excited about this. The Visual Studio HTTP file thing that I'm showing has these new features that you can say, like, generate a fake thing, create an auto increment. So here, I'll scroll down. You can say to use secrets, so I don't have to hard code them into my file. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like error tokens and stuff like that.
Exactly. So you can do all that. You can say things like key vault name. So you can pull your stuff out of key vault. You can also do, so I'm definitely going to be updating these. Look at this. I can do like a random int. So instead of test 1, test 4, I could do like a random int, right?
Wow, that's powerful.
That's pretty sweet. So I definitely am going to want to change that over. It just dropped in 17.8 preview 1. So, all right. So now we got this guy running. Now we want to do save link, send request.
Got high hopes?
Well, it's not gonna succeed, but it should at least show me a 400
explosions. What does it say?
This is good.
It's invalid because one of the required properties is missing. Which required property?
So that's a little tricky to read. Okay. missing ID.
Okay.
So this is a thing we got to figure out. Here's the issue is Cosmos. I'm not sure what to do. We're debugging it. We're figuring it out because this previously worked when we were just doing the binding. There is an ID field in the database. Do we need to have that in our model and set it as an empty?
So question, can you scroll down on your request here on the left side?
Left side.
Because there's an ID on the items, then there's a vanity, a description, and a user ID. And then go to the model object, the link, is it called link bundle?
Yeah, that's in the
shared, I believe. Yeah. So there's a JSON property ID.
And it's an ID. So maybe I need to include that in my request.
I think you need to exclude it from the request, right? If you send in an ID with no value, then perhaps Cosmos DB is like, you sent me an ID, but without a value. Whereas if you send in no ID at all, it's going to create an ID for you. At least it should. That's what I'm theorizing. Chat, what do you think?
Yeah, this is a challenge to figure out, right? So this is, let me look again at this. Bad request. So I have a few thoughts on that. One is we can mess with how to do it. Two is we can, this is funny because it's escaped kind of poorly. Latest input, blah, blah, blah. Cosmos DB SQL errors, missing ID. We could also maybe explicitly set it to null. Can you do that?
I think so, because in the documentation it says ID, system generated or user configurable. Purpose, user defined unique name in a logical partition. If the user doesn't specify the ID, the system automatically generates one. So I'm going back to my initial hypothesis that we have to pass null. If we pass ID with an empty value, it's going to try to create that ID.
Okay, fair. So let me see. And this honestly seems like the easy way out. If we can just send in null, then that's fine. It's going to get weird otherwise. So how am I going to do ID? How do you pass null? Can I go null?
I mean, you wouldn't in the JSON, right? You don't have an ID here, so you wouldn't pass it here. You do it in the request. You do it in the function.
All right.
So I don't know if there's a way on the model to specify a default value for that and just set it to null.
Is there a way to set the ID to null? Oh, well, we could initialize it. We could say equals null. Yeah. Hey, I beat it. Equals null, right? So I can just go equal null.
I think so. I'm looking. Oh. No, keep going.
We could exclude
JSON property name, because I'm seeing get init on ID. So instead of get set, it's get init. Can that be right? Is that a thing in C#?
Yeah, I don't know. It is a thing. There's a optional parameter for function, maybe. Let's see. I'll try and run it. The other thing I could do is mark this as a thing to fix and continue on, because we still need to convert the get. So we're testing out the set.
Okay, so we need to, yeah. Well, maybe hopefully this will work, and so let's do this. Let's try this, then we'll try the init, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, sounds good. Anybody watching? If David Pine's still watching, I bet he would know.
No, it's not running? Isn't it running?
I didn't close it. Let's try it again.
What's up, Asrar? Did I say that right? I hope I did. Hi from Afghanistan. How's it going? Welcome. I
What
love it when
time is it
people say
over
where
there?
they are. All right.
Okay, it's running. Huh. Let's
Come on,
go.
no whammies.
Same thing. Okay.
All right, so this time try the init.
Okay.
So instead of the null.
All right. Well, I feel a little better because nobody watching is like, well, it's obviously this.
Obviously, right.
So instead of
Get said it's get init. Is that a thing?
it is a thing. It's a thing, but it's not available. Why are we in 7.3? We can fix that. I think we can bump up our language version. Why are we in 7.3? That's some craziness. Shared. We can change our lang version.
No, don't do that. Don't change the lane. Don't. I have one more idea here, and then we'll stop. Highlight this whole link bundle class,
Mm-hmm.
and then ask Copilot. Paste in the error. I wonder if it's in there in your debug output. Just grab the whole error and paste it in.
Okay.
I mean, not the whole error, but the relevant part. Yeah.
This thing here
Yeah.
are missing. Okay. They're just doing this equals null. So they are saying to make it nullable. A
It's
nullable string.
nullable. Did you make it nullable?
I didn't.
Try that.
Okay. It's plausible.
It doesn't like the nullable.
You know why? Because we're on a. So we got to get off of this. Why I don't know why we're on 2. This should be what 2.1. I forget the .NET standard versions. I haven't messed with this for a while. Let me look real quick.
We're back to .NET 2. It was .NET 2 when I did it 20 years ago. We've come full circle.
So .NET standard is a thing that we did for a while to allow sharing code between. Allow nullable disable. That's a thing. So there is this, and .NET standard is a way to share code between all the different .NETs. We don't really push it anymore because we just say use .NET 7 or whatever all around. I think I could do that here. It's a complicated thing. I think .NET Standard 2.1 might support the latest. If not, I would just move that up to .NET 7. Build. Oh no, I'm exploding things. Sure, the restore has run and you have included in the target frameworks for your project. This isn't making me happy. Let's see. Allowing this nullable disable. Yeah, I don't even think I can use that yet, though. I think this is maybe one where
That's so ridiculous. Why can't it be nullable? That's such a fundamental.
So because it's .NET standard. So here, let me see one more thing here. If I I could do this. I could do properties. just do this, change this.
It's already there. It's already set to 2.1. Interesting.
Yeah. That's weird. I just changed it.
And if you change it to 2.1 in the target framework, it barfs.
Yeah.
Doesn't like it.
I may need to like unload it and reload it. This was supposed to be easy. What is happening? Build started. Build worked, I guess. Okay.
Now it likes it? Okay.
Maybe a weird build thing.
It still doesn't like it.
Still ain't work.
It doesn't like anything in that file now.
It's changing everything. Things are going. It's exploding.
It's just trying to set everything. It's just trying to make everything have an initializer.
Yeah. Try this one more time.
What does it say? The annotation for nullable reference type should only be used in code within a nullable annotations context.
Yeah, so we
may do JSON property name ID and then nullable.
No, I think what it's saying is the project needs to be marked allow null, or nullable disable. It's this thing right here. There's a this is a
question mark after the data type. We did that.
Okay, so the C# nullable .NET standard project. I can allow nullable. I've like looked at this years ago, and I don't want to like my brain doesn't want to deal with this. I could open up a. Oh, you know what I can do too is I can look in modern app. Yeah, there's nothing in here about that.
Didn't it say it at the bottom of that doc there? Didn't say it?
I didn't see it, which means it probably did.
It says there are two ways to control the nullable context. This project level, you can add nullable enable. Project setting.
So this is beginning in .NET 6.
Ah, okay.
So I could, I think, go in here and just change. I could do this just to go totally rogue. Do this.
Let's slap it in there and change it. Okay.
I mean, let's see what happens.
Because we're not trying to run this across different. Doesn't have a target for .NET 7. It did this to us before.
Right, and I think closing and reopening or something. Like if I just unload
and reload.
Yeah. Reload. Okay. Oh, now it's going to explode on me. Nope.
No.
Okay.
Is it better?
Maybe.
Do you have the nullable type in there still?
Yeah. Because now it's running on .NET 7 instead of .NET Standard.
Yeah, but did you put the nullable on link bundle? Is it still there?
Pretty sure.
Just pop over to that file for my edification. Sure did. Okay. Still squiggling. Yeah. No, it's still squiggling, but not an error. It's a
squiggle is a. Yeah, I don't know. Nullable sometimes gives some like, we're not sure. This could be null. So my vote is we run this, we see what happens. Then
it's just so bizarre to me because I don't work in typed languages that you have to say that something is nullable.
Yeah. Okay. So there's good reason.
Null.
So the reason for this is that a lot. Yeah, this is still a pain. A lot of the errors that are possible in .NET come from type checking and saying like checking for null, right? And you pass a null and something blows up. So what the nullable thing allows doing is explicitly saying this thing can be null or this will never be null. And then good thing here. So maybe a knit works now.
Yeah, was he's suggesting a knit works now.
So the idea is,
Hey.
okay, liking that. Oh, but yeah, I think we do need it to be nullable now, right? Still needs to be nullable.
I mean, I don't know.
String is nullable by default. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So without specifying that in the proj file, it shows a squiggly line. Okay, that's why.
So you
'Cause it's
actually
like,
have to
this is
specify.
already nullable. You ain't got to do this.
Yeah. So I think what the answer is going to be is digging around in the Cosmos docs about like, like specific thing. What do we need to do? I kind of feel like that's something where I would rather update the other API. Yeah, okay. Clutch link from David here. So there's a whole thing about this. It's funny because I'll be honest, I read this,
Dang,
I had to
man.
review it. It's awesome. But this is something my brain is kind of like, I'll deal with it when I need to, and I can't retain this for some reason. I go and read these docs.
We should give up on this and come back and figure it out, right? It's some tiny setting.
Yeah.
Which.
Okay. Yep. I'm with you. Okay, so we do have this mostly working. It is handling the exceptions. It is barfing on the ID. We can still update this thing here.
Yeah, let's get that one.
Yeah, okay. So what I want to do here is delete that.
You don't need that query at all?
No, I don't. I mean, I do, but I need it to be in the. Okay, so here. Yeah, so I'm going to say, let's, I'm getting tired, so let's get chat to do some stuff. Okay, update this to inject a Cosmos client. Come on, Copilot. Yay. Okay, cool. Oh, wow. All right. I'm liking this.
Did it give you the whole thing?
It gave me the whole thing. So that's
nice. Add.
What?
Oh, it's a new list. Okay, yeah, it's doing it.
Okay. I feel like it's actually maybe doing too much.
It did do a lot. I'm always weary when I get huge responses from, and actually even OpenAI in their prompt engineering instructions, which everybody should read, basically says like the longer the response you get, the more likely it is that it's not going to be what you want.
Okay. Read.
But you still need the injection, right? Did you grab that? You grabbed that. Okay.
Yeah. I do need the vanity URL. That's funny.
From the route. Yeah.
From the route. And here's a funny thing. This is crazy. The vanity URL is in the route here, but that is in this attribute, and actually getting it out of there is tricky. And so
just like rec.query whatever, right? Should be.
You'd think.
Rec.route values. Okay.
Okay, you'd think. This is totally wrong.
Oh, is it?
This does not work. So here is the silly thing that after bashing my head against this for a while, what you have to do is go string vanity URL.
Now you've got it.
So that is, I think, kind of silly. What it's doing is like it's automatically like setting it from the route. It's kind of magic. It works. It was a little frustrating, honestly. But because I kept trying all this stuff and I'm like, okay, Copilot, read it from the thing. And it's like, yeah, here's the code. And it was not the code. Okay.
Yeah, it can lead you astray. All right.
So read the document Oh, wait. So I want to do get the create a client, or no? I have a Cosmos client. Read the no, it's not from the path frame. Read the document that matches vanity from Cosmos. Yeah. Okay. So this is not, these aren't right.
Share isn't right. Yeah.
And then this is also not cased correctly. I mean, it's doing what it can. It's guessing from like some poorly typed string. So now if I go back to this and double check here, it's the URL list and link bundles. So if I go to here, the URL list link bundles. Okay. So now I need to say, yeah. Okay, right?
Dang, man.
That's good.
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's exactly what you needed.
Okay. So that's a query definition. It's actually not. So previously we wanted, I'm going to do the get changes because I want to look out. Previously we had another query that's it's selecting specific, right? Okay. So previously our query was select top one from blah, 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 blah. Right? Select top one star.
What is it now?
Now it is select star.
Like star. It's like top one star.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to. Okay. So now it is a query. So I think what I want to do is say, yes. But I don't want an iterator, right? I will say.
But you have to get an iterator though, because it doesn't know. It has no way of knowing whether, I know for JavaScript at least, like you always get an array back when you execute a query, because it has no way of knowing if there's one item or multiple items.
Okay. So yes, and var response results equals. Watch is buzzing every time. You know how some people, short segue, you know how some people will, I'm one of these people, when I write you in chat, I write a whole paragraph. I like backspace, I revise it. I like, I write a whole email in a chat. I also have coworkers that will like, hey, there, got an idea. So, you know what I mean? It's like 19 different chats to like complete one sentence. So
or like, I also like the one like, got a sec?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just please put something on the calendar, man. You're killing me. It's because Hanselman has got us all trained not to do that.
Yes. I guess you're right. I guess I can't get. What I want to do is see if I can get a single result. Get a single document from the.
Oh yeah, that should be interesting. Let me text you in 50 messages. Yeah. Give me 50 different messages I got to read through. Appreciate it. I do it. I'm guilty of it. I've done it. Who am I?
I totally like. I'm not saying like I love working with people, and I don't want to. It's just some people are like very much like 2 sentences, 3 sentences, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I was not complaining about you at all. I was just like, whoever right now is writing, they're like, okay. Yeah.
What happened? It didn't generate anything?
No.
You know the trick to do when it does that?
What?
So you want to say execute the query and return a single result.
Okay, let's just
take it, see what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's going to add an item to, so it's creating a list. It wants to add the items, and then what's it going to do?
All right. Oh no, it's getting crazy. It's funny because yes.
Well, I mean, it's link, right? Can't you just say like, can't you just execute the query and then say first or default?
Yeah. Right. So then, yeah. So I'm curious. I want to look at what I got earlier when I did this because I did not go through this as much. Result.
Oh, so is there? So Timmy's saying query one or query collection. Is that possible?
I don't think so. Okay. Yeah, I did get. Here, I'm just going to copy.
My shorts are wet. What's going on?
I'm going to just let you think about that. Okay.
Did something pee in my chair? No.
Okay, so
I don't understand. This is so awkward. I thought maybe the cat or something peed in the chair, but
it's only awkward as much as you care to like share about it.
One of my I know it's gonna get one of my kids is walking in the door. He should be at school. This should be great. Hey man, what are you doing? No, it didn't. Your package has not arrived yet.
Okay. All right. I want to ask this.
You're not supposed to leave school in the middle of the day, y'all. No. Don't tell anybody that this is happening.
I gotta say, I think kids with the whole COVID thing, I think it kind of permanently changed how kids relate to school.
Well, and so in defense, he's a senior in high school.
Oh yeah.
The school is right there. And he has like an hour and a half automotive period. So sometimes he comes over and he's like, I'm hungry, makes noodles, and then goes back to school.
Fair enough.
He's an adult, pretty much.
Can I optimize this because I know the query will only return one result, and I don't need to iterate. Actually, oh, here it is. Result.first. This is what I got when I messed with it before.
Let's go.
All right. Okay, so I think I can run this.
You don't say thank you to Copilot when it helps you?
I think about it sometimes, like, or I think Copilot's going to start doing the thing where it's like, I need you to answer this question, and it's going to show you the little tip screen. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 5, 15, yeah. 20,
yeah, it's 25%. Okay, so what?
When I go to Subway, they do that to me. Like I go to Subway and they turn the screen, and it's like, do I want to give you a 25% tip at Subway?
Yeah, I hear you.
I feel like it's getting out of hand.
It is getting a little out of hand.
Or maybe I should just tip people and stop complaining. And
what did I do wrong here? I did.
Are you outside the bracket? You should be inside the bracket, or no?
I don't think so. Run. I deleted a thing. No, I guess I'm right there. Right. I put a comma. I did.
Oh yeah, because it's the first parameter.
Yeah. All right, we're getting excited now. It's totally going to happen.
Timmy's thinking along the lines of document query selector,
doing
DOM operations. DOM operations, not dumb operations.
No.
These two words sound too similar.
Oh, here's one other thing I want to do today. We can get rid of weather forecast. I think we can agree that we're not going to include weather forecasting in our list of things. Okay, so we can go to localhost 7071. I forget what it is. API?
/API/links.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Maybe you need HTTP in front of it. That seems very demanding.
Localhost Post 7071
/API/links.
Okay. Now here it is saying that because we didn't pass in the vanity URL. Okay. I did run into this before, and it was because I didn't pass in the actual
binding parameter. Invalid cast from system string to HTTP request.
Okay. So I'm not done yet. I'm going to copy this link because I don't want it to go away. I don't want to have to retype it. What I did before, let me look at this because I read this from comma string vanity URL. Okay. I'm just copying this method signature from when I wrote it earlier today because actually I'll copy a few. Oh. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just talking out loud. Okay. So
that's all right. I'm chatting with the chat.
Okay.
We're talking about marquee elements, and I said I miss view counters. Remember view counters?
Same. Yep. Okay. I'm going
stat
to
counter. Stat counter was the name of the one. You could slap it in your page. It's awesome. Deploy it with front page. All right.
Okay. I'm updating this with a few things. One is I fixed this string vanity URL, and then we're checking if it's null or empty. And it is API links vanity URL. So it should be good. Okay.
Feeling good about it?
I think it was either marquee or blink. One of those actually was a joke that somebody made.
And it got in?
Yeah. And it was like, they wrote later, I was out at dinner, I came back kind of drunk, wrote this thing up. It was a joke. I can't believe it. I don't know.
Dude, there's so much stuff in HTML that's in JavaScript that's like that. Another one is the image tag. If y'all want to read an interesting history, why is the image tag just IMG? Why is it self-closing? There's so much that's weird about that tag, and the story behind it is ridiculous. And I won't tell you, go look it up because it's a great story.
Well, because there's also, I don't know if this steals some of the thunder, but there was a time where they were possibly going to make everything objects. Did you hear about this? There was a crazy time where there was this big debate as part of the whole object or image tag where people are like, we don't need an image tag. We'll just have an object tag for everything.
Oh, everything. And then because there used to be an object.
There was an object tag, and then you could put ActiveX objects. You could put whatever in there. It was kind of crazy times. Okay, let's see what's happening here. So we have our vanity URL. Maybe vanity. Oh,
let's go.
I made a copy paste.
See it already?
No,
yeah, that's right. Link
no,
bundles.
It's not. It's
the URL list.
So when I copied and pasted code, I reverted my issue. Okay. Right? It's the URL list and link bundles.
Does objects still work? David, does objects still work? I'm curious now.
Probably deprecated.
I miss the days when the Internet Explorer looked like this. 80% extensions and toolbars. 20% of the page. Yo, me too, man. That's great.
Okay, select top one from C where blah, blah, blah.
It's used for media types. But should it be? Oh, I guess yeah, that's right. Well, wait a minute, David, there's a video type. There is a audio type. What else is there? Oh, he's linking me to W3C.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. It's ready to return a response.
You got it?
Let's do this. I'm saying go. What are you doing?
You will not go.
Continue.
Let's
Once again, right before the end of the show. Okay.
we executed a query.
We executed a query. But okay, so we have converted over. Oh, I got to do while I'm thinking about it because I keep forgetting. Weather forecast function, got to go.
Oh,
It's out. This is
I
part
kind
of
of like
my.
it though. It's like an artifact of where we started. It's like our first dollar. I'm against this, by the way. Okay.
It
We're gonna leave it
presents.
in there so everybody can like look at the source code and be like, it's the weather. The
Okay,
weather
so
model.
we have, what do? We got the API querying. Save is not working. What's interesting there is
We are close on save though. There's some detail we're missing.
it's that ID thing. So we'll need to like tweak the ID slightly. We did delete a lot of code. We deleted the model. The repo is up on GitHub. So first of all, let me push this stuff. So updated.
Can you please include an emoji in your commit message? I feel like there's not enough emojis.
Yes. Change
Project
from Cosmos findings to Cosmos client.
That's the title of your commit message?
Yeah.
Aren't commit messages supposed to be like 50 characters or less? Something like that? Yeah, let's go.
Okay. It's my commit message.
Yeah. Blame Jay Galloway removed the weather feature and Burke is not happy.
You know, this is like one of those things where they say, like, in the interest of providing a great user experience, we have removed the features that you like. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
that's funny. We were joking about the commit message, but it was actually over on the screen. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. It was my job I'm supposed to be navigator and I'm doing a very good job.
Okay, so one thing we can do, I think, is we can go, first of all, we can answer David's question. This is the earliest we have. I'm going to mark this one as done, and then I'm going to create a new bug, which is fix save method. Because that's okay. So let's do fix save method. Save links.
Dude, what is with this stream element stuff, man? Like people are getting spammed by stream bots.
It is changeable. I don't know. It's supposed it drives engagement.
Okay.
Okay. So here is where it is. It is up on here in the earliest org. We are working in backend static web app. I keep saying we need to update this because this is the standard README.
Yeah.
But then if you go in here to projects, you click on the project, you can see the stuff we're doing. We take pull requests. We would love pull requests.
Like add the delete method, please, for the love.
Yeah. And you know, this is something too. Oh, another cool thing is, I didn't whatever link it creates the because it's running in Azure Static Web Apps, right? So it's actually created under a test URL endpoint. So
this is epic. Then you would be wearing a Blazor, running Blazor in a Blazor.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of the thing where they gave Dan Roth a purple Blazor during.
I mean, this is a great idea for a shirt, though, John. Like if you had a Blazor with someone standing next to it wearing a Blazor and then the Blazor logo, but like nothing else on the shirt and just let people figure it out.
That's true. I do have to.
Anonymous, create that shirt and we will promote your Teespring campaign to make you rich.
This is unfortunate. There's a whole thing where they actually ran out on stage and gave him this beautiful purple Blazor. There it is. That's pretty rad, isn't it? Seems like in the sea.
I mean, that just looks like Fritz's wardrobe.
Well, yeah, but I think Dan had it.
Okay.
All right, so I think we made some progress. We got things. We converted. We no longer are trapped by whatever the bindings on the Cosmos client do. So now we have a converted over API. We have a bug to fix. Here's a question. Why are we using Cosmos DB compared to Azure Tables? What are your thoughts on that?
Because I mean, it could have gone either way, but because I don't know Azure Tables, right? And when we built this, Cosmos DB was one of the things that we were trying to promote with developers. We're still trying to do that. And we also had done a lot of work there to make it more accessible with free tiers, and NoSQL databases are frequently used by front-end apps, right? So that's the summation. But if somebody had come in and been like, yo, tables and let's do it, and here's why, if that's what Cecil had done, it would be on tables. That's why.
I think too, like Cosmos DB is a document DB. So there's like, you know what I mean? We're storing a document that's a compound thing that's a lot of links and stuff.
It's better suited. I mean, I think at one point in time there was a cost reason, but Cosmos DB has a free tier now, which is what we're using. And you get, it's pretty generous, right? So there's just no reason, cost reason isn't there anymore. But
it is pretty interesting. Look, running on static web apps, we're on Azure Storage, Functions, and GitHub. GitHub's our CI. Functions is in a free tier too, right?
Hosting, I mean, it's going to be hosting and auth, and it's going to be CDN. And that's free. That's all free. It's all free. And Cosmos DB is free. We're doing all this free. Yeah. And this app is a production app that is used by a non-trivial amount of people, as we found out when we went and looked at the database after Twitter off died.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, again, we do take pull requests if people do want to get us some stuff. And then I think next up, we do have some more API stuff. I will want to probably just figure this out later and say, hey, here was the magic 2 lines of code we had to do to fix the ID thing.
We'll start the next stream off with, it'll be called the magic 2 lines of code.
And we do need to fix or a next front end thing we need to do is the edit form, right? So now
yes, that's where we're going next, I believe.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're ready to play it off. It's been a little bit since I did the Windows sweater dab, which is a little weird because it's a very fast dab, but it is a thing. All right. Well, happy birthday to Burke and have a great weekend.
Don't tell everybody that I'm super old. All right. Thanks, Chad. Okay. It's so good to see you. Best way to spend a Friday, no doubt.
All right.
Thank you, Timmy.
Happy weekend, everybody. Bye.